Hey Sainers, welcome back to the Saints TV YouTube channel. Hope you're all having a great week so far. I just wanted to do a video to talk about Jack Steele and to give him a little bit of love. We know what happened yesterday. We saw him being traded, or has been traded, to the Melbourne Football Club for a 2027 third round pick. We picked him up all the way back in 2016. Funnily enough, October 14th was when he was traded in, 2016, and he was traded out 9 years later, almost to the day, October 15th, yesterday afternoon, to the Melbourne Football Club, who, look, they are very lucky to have a player like him, a perfect culture fit for their transition, an absolute leader, top bloke, which we'll talk about, off the football field as well as on. Great pickup for them. But for us, it's time to reminisce. It's time to think about why we love Steele, why I guess a lot of us were really upset to see him go. We know that sentiment in football is dangerous. And I think, at least for the next day, we can be sentimental. We can think about all the good that came from trading in Steele from the GWS Giants, and I guess what he means to a lot of us, and hopefully, this could be a win-win where he prolongs his career, he does some good stuff at Melbourne, and our midfield continues to blossom even without him, which is going to be tough to deal with for a little bit, especially seeing him in that Melbourne Guernsey. It just didn't look right to me, but I like when I think of Jack Steele, I think of the immediate tagging battles he had with Paddy Cripps. Almost like that was the first moment where I thought, geez, this bloke is ferocious. Like, he is genuinely a nutcase when it comes to tackling players and being really accountable, but also going the other way, not just being defensive, but balancing it with going the other way and getting his own football. And I just thought anytime we played Carlton, it was going to be Steele on Cripper, and it was going to be mouth-watering. It was going to be, that's the thing that you go to the football to see, is the best players or the toughest players at the time. I don't think Steele was the best, or we thought he could get to where he got to, but at that point in time, he was really just a tagger. We got him, and it was all about his defensive side of the game that we really loved. The fact that straight off the bat, he was averaging 5-6 tackles a game. He was putting his body on the line. I don't think we ever thought he would be a player that could be touted as a potential Brownlow medalist. And that was the levels that he got to around 2020, 21 and 22. That was genuinely scary Steele. That was when he was next level, our best player. He was top 5 in the Brownlow predictions in those 2-3 years. And if he didn't play, the midfield didn't exist, and when he did play, anything was possible. And that was, to me, he's in that bracket. How there's just universally loved players, like a Lenny Hayes, these sort of players. I think Steele is in that, where every supporter from any club would say, yeah, we'd love him. We'd happily have him, not just for his football ability, but just because he rocks up every single week. He puts everything on the line, even when his body's not right. And that was the hardest part over the last couple of years is seeing him struggle physically. And obviously that affected his football, affected his form. And we just couldn't quite get him back to the level that he was in those years. I remember 2022 against Geelong, he injured his shoulder, but he played the game out and we won. And then I think he missed a couple of weeks from memory. That wasn't the only time he did that. He did that in 2023, where I think he broke his collarbone against the Dogs. We won that game as well. He played the game out. This is Captain Courageous stuff. That's just the mentality of someone like Jack Steele, is put your body on the line to win the game for your team. And he did that on countless occasions. So to see him get traded to Melbourne, it does hurt. Is that the direction we're going in? I think it is. I think when you look at our midfield and how he fits in, it's tough, but I just love Steele. You know, who doesn't love Steele? It's that, like I said, it's the same thing with Lenny. You love Lenny, you love Steele. I did message him, just sent him a message last night on Instagram, and he did respond really promptly, and he sent a really nice message. I'm not going to read the full message because obviously that's something I just want to keep to myself, but I'll just the one thing he ended it on, which says everything. I'll always be a Saints person. You know, I just think it's just one of those things where, you know, we didn't force him out. No chance about that. And I think he just saw an opportunity to play every single week. And when we play Melbourne next year, I'm certain that every St Kilda supporter will applaud. That just says everything. No one's going to be booing him. You don't even need to tell the Sainer, don't do it, because I just know no one's going to do it. Because why would you? You know, he's respected our club. He's put 9 years of service in, and he became captain. You know, he was co-captain with Jaron Geary in 2021. Having that leadership quality, he just continually grew into that role. Like from 2018, 19, new kid on the block, just did some really nice things. And then 2020 comes around. Jaron Geary's the sole captain. And 2020, that was the time where we all thought, shit, this bloke is next level. Like, he's genuinely an A-grade midfielder superstar. We have a player that other clubs love. We have a player that other clubs wish they had, you know? And that was the first time in a long time that a St Kilda player really had that sort of aura about them. 2020 Steele was a different monster. Like, if you go back and watch 2020 highlights, in all of our wins, Jack Steele was monstrous. Like, you think about the GWS game, we needed to win that to make finals that year, and he had a monster game, and he kicked the dribble a goal, and that commentary, you know, Bruce McAvaney, just to bring it all together in that situation was perfect. I remember he kicked the sealer against West Coast at Marvel. A couple of years later, when we were behind by like 6 goals, we kicked a lot of goals in the last quarter, and he capped it off. He always seemed to cap off a really strong game with a really clutch goal, you know? But 2020, when I think about lockdown and watching the Saints in like in a small apartment with my girlfriend at the time, it was all, you know, if Steele had a good game, we're winning this. Like, we're winning. No one can stop him. He can tackle harder than everyone. He works harder than everyone. He's kicking goals. Like, that's another thing he added to a string to his bow in 2020 to 21, 22. He could tag, he could get the ball, and he could go forward and kick a goal. And like, you look at his stats from 2020, like, it's shortened game, shortened season, right? And he's still averaging 90 fantasy points, 5 tackles a game, 22 disposals a game, 0.6 goals a game, and 5 clearances a game in shortened quarters in a shortened season. That's elite numbers. And then 2021 was when he went absolutely nuts. 121 fantasy points average, 29 disposals average, with imagine averaging nearly 30 disposals and 9 tackles a game for a whole season. On top of that, 6 clearances a game. Like, 21 Steele was probably peak, but 2020 was like vintage in a way. Maybe not vintage, but when he really announced himself, you know, when we kind of all took notice and the rest of the competition took notice. Because I remember at the end of 2020, I did the Brownlow prediction video, and I had him almost winning it. I think I almost had him on 31 or 32 votes. For memory, he finished, I think, 3rd or 4th in the 2020 Brownlow count, I think. And obviously he won his first Trevor Barker medal. Let's talk about his accolades for a moment. But his first Trevor Barker medal was in 2020. He won it back-to-back in 21 as well. Obviously, his 21 season was better than his 2020 season. He made the All-Australian team in both those years, 2020 and 2021. And then from 2022 onwards, he became the sole captain of our football club up until obviously only a few weeks ago when he stood down. He won the Robert Rose Award, voted by the players in 2021, which is the most courageous player award, and he won that. In 2020, he polled 72 votes in the Players Association Player of the Year Award, which was fourth as well. So Lockie Neal, Petrarca, and Travis Boak were ahead of him, and Taylor Adams was fifth. But the leadership qualities, he was more, I guess we can all agree, he was very much a lead by example, probably not by his words, but by what he did on the football field. And I feel like, that's a strong thing, when you've got someone like Jack Steele rocking up every single week, training the house down, playing amazing football, and then injuries happen, and obviously 23 Ross comes in, and then from there, his performance kind of just dwindled a little bit. I would have liked to have seen him stay and maybe play as a floating forward into the midfield, but that's just not the way things panned out in the end. But I just want to share, I don't know if I've shared this story before, but I remember it might have been 2020, it might have been last year actually. Maybe I've shared this story before, but I'll share it again because I might not get a chance to talk about Steele in great detail like I am now. But I was in the rooms. I had just done a couple of Mosh interviews post-game, and I was sitting with my cameraman. I was sitting on the bench in the rooms editing, and everyone was already pretty much leaving. I remember it felt like we were the only people in the change rooms at Marvel at that point in time. It was like an hour or two after the game. Bunch of players I could see walking out, just giving a wave and walking out. I was like, see you guys, good win, see ya, good win. And they're all leaving, and it was just me editing the videos, sitting on the bench, seemingly on my own. And then I remember Steele coming out, and he was going for the exit. He saw me. I remember he saw me behind the pillar, and he waved. I was like, "Hi, mate," and didn't hear anything back. And then I remember he turned around and he circled back and he came right over, and he just had a chat for like 15, 20 minutes. And it wasn't even just he was like, what are you guys up to? What are you doing, mate? I'm like, oh, just editing some interviews, this and that. He talked about the game, but then he talked about his new dog that he got. He asked me what I was up to on the weekend. He took like 15 minutes out of his day. And I remember him talking about, that he apologized out of the blue that he didn't follow Saints TV on Instagram. And I was like, that's cool, man. That's cool. And he's like, look, I just don't, didn't want to do it because I went through some form and injuries, and I just didn't want to deal with, reading the comments and this sort of thing. And I like to avoid football when I'm outside the footy club. And I'm like, mate, you don't need to apologize. But yeah, if you want to drop me a follow, I just kind of said it off the cuff, like as a joke. Hey, I think we've earned your respect, maybe. I don't know. We love you, Steele. We pump you up on every post we can. So, don't shy away from it. I'd said it as a joke, like literally. He's like, I'll do it. I'll follow you. Tomorrow I'll follow you. I'll follow you back. And I'm like, mate, it's all good. And then I remember forgetting about it. And it was an awesome chat. And we talked about my Greek Easter coming up and this sort of thing. It was just like a normal chat right after a game. Memories you don't forget. I remember going home, going to bed, waking up in the morning after, and loading up Insta. And I had the little follower icon, and I clicked on it. I was like, Jack Steele follows you now. I was like, this is like a full day after. I'm like, this guy, stuck to his, just little things like that say a lot about someone. And I had to mention it in my message to him yesterday. That was one of the highlights over the last couple of the years, is not what he did on the field as much as I love what he did on the field for the footy club. It was that moment where he was right at the exit, and he turned around and he came back and he had a good 15, 20 minute chat. And it was just me in the rooms, my cameraman, and that was it. No one else. And he spent time to just chat, as just a regular person and he didn't seem to look treat me like a Saints nuffy, that sort of thing. It was just nice. To chat to Steele in that way. And then for him to do what he did, a follow's a follow. In the scheme of things, it's just a follow. But he said he would, and he did, and I think that says a lot about him. So I just wanted to share that to cap off the video. But we can talk about all these individual games, like some of his best games. But I just wanted to talk in general about, we went through some tough times from 2018 into 2020. It started getting exciting, but Steele's always been a shining light. There's been so many losses I've seen where he was 15, 20 disposals better than every other player. For us, he would have double the tackle count. And you're just like, we are a one-man show right now. We are a Jack Steele show, and that's it. And obviously that's not the case anymore. We've grown out of that. And I guess that, in a way, has been to his detriment in his position in the team. And maybe it's no surprise that he has found another footy club. But I just wanted to thank him from my end for being such a professional, for being such a top person as well off the football field anytime I've come across him. And I do wish him all the best at Melbourne, honestly. Like, I think he'll do great things at Melbourne. I think that's exactly what they need right now. Someone professional, someone with leadership qualities. And if he gets his body right, he'll put in some good football for Melbourne. I won't be anywhere near like his 2020 form. I mean, I don't want it to be, because I want his best form to be in St Kilda colours. But I wish him all the best, and hopefully it's a win-win for both clubs. We get to see our young mids blossom, and he gets to prolong his career and hopefully do some good things at Melbourne. So Jack Steele, thank you very much, mate, for the last 9 years of your service to the footy club. You led by example every single week, even under duress, even when your body wasn't right. We knew it too, but he would rock up every single week and play tough, hard football. And it's going to be sad if we do get some success in the next 3-4 years. And obviously Steele is not going to be the one holding that cup, but he's definitely still had his influence, over the youth that we've got, over the kids we've got. No doubt they would have taken a lot out of playing with someone like Steele. So put your thoughts in the comments, Sainers. Some nice words for Jack Steele. Put it in the comments, your favourite game, your favourite story. Maybe some, like me, when you've met him off the football field, has that stayed with you? Because that's genuinely like a vivid memory that I'll never forget, is that moment in the rooms where the captain of the football club I love took time out of his day just to have a chat. And it wasn't even really football related. It was the best. So all the best, Steely. Thank you very much, mate. You're going to definitely be a special part of St Kilda's history, and the fact that you said yourself, you're a Sainer for life. That's everything for all of us supporters. So good luck with Melbourne. Thanks, Sainers. Enjoy the rest of your week. Take care. And as always, go you mighty Sainers. See you guys.